The dark windows are probably giving it away. It's late at night, and late nights are for working in the garage. At the time I'm filming this, that means shifting gear around for small jobs and doing things like sanding and painting doors. This one is for the main bathroom in the house. As is probably quite evident, the garage is still a mess, and the lack of a dedicated workshop space is something I'm feeling quite acutely. But for the time being, I have to make peace with the fact that my garage is a dump for construction waste. Things like ripped out plasterboard, which really don't do well in the wet and windy conditions that, this being Ireland, are all but guaranteed outside. I have an idea of what to do with this space, but the fact that I'm mostly here at night doesn't really help with giving an introduction of the garage on video, so I should probably do this in daytime. Daylight. So, garage. Master garage. It's got downstairs, which is for the garagey bit, and also had an external kitchen. There's upstairs. There used to be a granny flat up there with a shower and a toilet. And then there's the woodshed. Now the woodshed is a bit of a strange one. Just because the proportions aren't very well used. I guess if I just keep stacking firewood in here until it's filled up to the middle, it's probably a better use of the space than it is now. So it's 4 meters down and about 2.4 meters across. And because the wood is stacked lengthwise, you always need to leave a corridor to be able to access the end. So that leaves a lot of unused space. So I guess any rethinking of the woodhouse would have the access over there. And here is upstairs. So I've already removed the toilet that was there and the shower that was here. So you'll see the drain there is still visible, as is the soil pipe, waste pipe for the sink. All those will still have to be removed. And downstairs is now one big room. Gone is the guest kitchen or whatever this was, the hallway. Only the stairs remain, and here are the leftovers of plasterboard walls, mostly from the bedroom in the house. Also some from upstairs. So I already know that I want this area here to be my workshop. Workbenches, tools, all that good jazz. And this section here, I want this to be a home gym with a bench, maybe a LED tower, maybe a rowing machine, that sort of thing. Of course, that really realistically means that all this needs to go. The question is, go where? Which means that the tractor will have to go. That is where things get complicated. It's not so much that I just put a dividing wall in here to keep the dust in the workshop and out of the gym. The tractor accessories, everything that's currently in this half of the garage don't need to go into what is currently the woodhouse. But in order for it to fit into the woodhouse, I would have to do some really drastic changes to the woodhouse. I'm not gonna do that just yet. I guess the question is, what can I do at the moment? And I think that'll have to be more clearing work. Now this is my future workshop space. The dividing wall here to separate the hallway off would be exactly what the old one was. It's just going to be built a lot sturdier. The problem with that is the dividing wall would be right here, and because I keep collecting garbage in this hallway, I can't leave it outside because of the rain and the wind. It would fly away or get mushy and disintegrate. So I keep storing it into the garage until I have enough to all fit into a skip. And as much as this looks at the moment, it's not enough to fit a skip. So what that means is, as much as I want to do other things in the garage, like build a workbench, that kind of stuff, I have to be economical. Since I have to order a skip to get rid of all of this, and it's not enough to fill one, I can't just take it down to the amenity side. Anything that requires breaking, like the ceiling here, walls and ceiling upstairs, that will have to go out first, be added to the pile until it's enough to call a skip, get rid of all that, free up the space, and move to the next phase. I guess that makes, I think that makes sense. Light condition's not too good. So put a light there, maybe another one here. So I guess one thing that's pretty clear already is that the ceiling is way too low for me to stand up straight. It's not just the plasterboard, it's also these rafters. I mean, it comes right down to my eyebrows. The amount of times I've banged my head into these rafters, more than I'd care to admit. Anyway, so that's definitely one job. Plasterboards have to come out, and then these rafters have to be moved up by probably 7 centimeters, if not more, just to allow me, who's probably going to use the space most, to walk and stand in here without having to constantly stoop down. Pain in the neck, literally. Now the other reason why I'm keen to get rid of the original wall here is because this is all, I don't know, some wannabe English countryside look that I'm really not too invested in. I mean, the previous owners were English, maybe that's something they were going for. In any case, plasterboard isn't very structural. So this is only screwed into buttons that are nailed or screwed into the rafters. And they have to come out. And then what I'm going to use for walls and for wall sheathing is plywood. The plywood is going to be screwed directly onto these rafters here. And then any small storage solution, like, I don't know, let's say hooks or, light shelves, that can then be screwed into the plywood. And only if it's heavier stuff through the plywood and into the rafters. So that's the idea behind it. I also want to insulate the, like these slopes here, as well as the ceiling and the walls, because currently they aren't. And that's not so much a problem in winter, because it doesn't really get all that cold here in Ireland. But in summer, even if it's only like 14, 15 degrees out, the roof really heats up, and that makes being up here quite unbearable. The sweat is pouring, and it's probably also not too good for anything that is sensitive to temperature changes to be stored up here. It makes sense for this to be insulated, and this is in the way of the insulation. Another reason for it to go on top of the English optics. Oh, there's nothing wrong with English optics. They're just not my cup of tea. And for some local flavour, while this stuff is still hanging here, this is some of the wiring solution that was hidden behind these wall panels. Quite creative. I have no idea what connects to what, so I'll have to untangle those wires and then wire this garage down properly. So I think what I'll get started with tonight for, I don't know, an hour or so is remove this bit of wall here where the toilet used to be. I hope this is not going to make too much noise, because the roof is completely uninsulated, so any nasty tool sound that I'm going to make is going to carry. So I hope the neighbours are already asleep and have their windows closed so that they don't hear. It is, shockingly, another late night in the garage. It's Wednesday, 9:30. Now I still have the fun task of liberating the back half, well actually that's the front half of the garage, of all the plasterboard that's in there. And of course, for me to do that, I need to shift all that, let's call it equipment, because it's not garbage. It's not, you know, I have to shift it around somehow, play some Sokoba on here or Tetris. So yeah, I guess I'll get started on that tonight. Just moving things around, try and make some space. I'm going to do a daytime visit to the garage just to get proper footage of this mess here. You know, a typical case of we'll just put it in the corner and then wall all this in. Not great. It's probably several cubic meters of that nasty styrofoam crap. These are the battens that those plaster boards were screwed or nailed into. And I'm ripping these out as well. I probably don't have to, could as well leave them in, but I reckon since I'm going to insulate all of this, and since this roof is ideal both in pitch and orientation, at some stage take on some solar panels outside, all of which adds weight. Right now I'm thinking, like, the more weight I take out now, the better. And that's why these battens here come out. Also, one thing I want to capture for posterity is the absolute state that the wiring in this place is in. The sheer number of those light connectors that are everywhere, and the way the wires are organized, just snaking all over the place. Kind of looks like I just took bits of wire that they had left around and just sort of like jury-rigged them together, hanging all around here. Again, there's more funny connector work there. There's another one coming out, and there's just no discernible structure where, let's say, you have one continuous line that goes there that feeds off all the lights on one side, and have the same setup over there. Nope, they just randomly crisscross. I haven't managed to figure out yet how they're connected. So I reckon what I'll do is I'll just rip them all out, maybe with the exception of the power sockets over on this side. I might keep those, and then start my own wiring from scratch. Now, renovating a garage is pretty hard work at the best of times. Renovating a garage while you're using it, that's something entirely else. Because everything needs to stay in here because of the wet weather, etc. There's a lot of things here that, you know, you can't just leave around in your driveway. It's a logistics puzzle. Renovating this garage at the moment requires a lot of moving stuff around to do work in one area, then move it back, do work in another area, and so on and so on. So that's what makes renovating this garage at the moment so much fun. Spent way too much time in here again. Tuesday morning, 5 minutes past midnight, but I managed to rip out the remaining plasterboards as well as the battens that were still here. So now, theoretically, the next bit that I need to do is clear up the space that is currently being occupied by this ginormous heap of plasterboard. And I need this space to move things from upstairs down to like all the timber bits, etc. so that I can then start doing some more structural work upstairs. Right, garage cycle ban. Next round. Pile of garbage. Skip. Now it is roughly 3 hours later. That pile has diminished a little bit, and I filled the skip up to this height, made it nice and tidy to save up on space. Right, finally the big pieces have all gone. They're all in the skip now, but there is a lot of small debris here. The skip is reasonably full, although there's still a good bit of space in here. Taken down the ceiling, as well as these styrofoam boards that are everywhere as insulation. Gods only know why. But yeah, while I have this skip, this is the opportunity to rip all this stuff out and get rid of it. Ceiling comes down easier than I thought, and harder at the same time. The garage has always been quite humid. Stuff here really starts getting mouldy or rusty, like alarmingly fast in the winter. And all this plasterboard has become really crumbly. So usually you can pull it off as a whole sheet if you're clever about it, but this is just crumbles. And like it's been, I suppose, because of how damp it is, you can really see the fault lines. The annoying bit is all this crumbly styrofoam crap. Well, it just comes down with the ceiling. It's a huge mess. Anyway, I think I've had as much today as I can bear. I think it's Saturday, 10 past 11 p.m. and I'm packing it in for tonight. Well, things have to get worse before they get better, or in this case, messier before it can get tidier. It's your standard 14 degrees rainy Irish Sunday, but I'm sweating buckets. Alright, down with the ceiling. Right, managed to pull most of the ceiling down. There's just a little bit left in that corner there, just above where I store my timber, which is a bit of a problem. That one's going to be tricky, but the bulk is out, and so is the bulk of the styrofoam. If I have a look up here, there's a little bit of styrofoam up there, and tucked into those voids there. So for a few of these, I have to pull out these, I don't know what they're called, purlins or whatever, probably break the styrofoam to get it past those wires. Also, they put in nails in the joists to keep the styrofoam in place, so that's an added difficulty. Of course, there is still all this to tidy up, which is usually a night job. But now, of course, I have the problem that I removed all the lights with the ceiling. So I guess I'll have to see how much or how far my two 12-volt construction lights are going to get me, because otherwise I'm losing a lot of usable nighttime. Doesn't actually look too bad on camera with those two construction lights there. So I did get around to pulling off all oh yeah, screw the storage. I did get around to pulling off all the ceiling boards, and now I'm just in the process of cleaning up at least enough so that I have room to put the garden tractor, the ride-on mower, whatever you call that thing, to put that thing back in the garage, because at the moment there's still a lot of crap there that I need to get rid of. Yeah, it's not a bad end to a Sunday night, quarter to midnight. Just going to make a little more room, get the tractor back in here, and that's me done for the day. So, of course, I'm still at it. It's 20 past midnight, so technically Monday morning, but I just wanted to get this little guy on camera. Yes, that is a fossilized rat. Not fossilized, mummified. That would have fallen out of the ceiling, and that would have explained the joist being chewed. Actually, that's here. Like you can clearly see. Like it's clearly visible. That's not been cut. That's been gnawed on. And I continued. And I guess that little fella just couldn't get back out of the pickle that he'd gotten himself into. So he died up there. Monday afternoon, and this is the garage after last night's tidy up mission, action, orgy. Sweeping this corner here, I was reminded that there are still the old outdoor kitchen tiles on the floor here, so I'll have to hammer these out. They're just one of the items that the local amenity site don't take, so they have to go into the skip now, and that means I have to prioritize getting these out. I'm also here in front of the door because I want to keep this floor as level as possible without having to put in leveling compound here, because it's just way too much effort, and because the tile glue comes off easily enough, I'm just going to use my normal mallet and a chisel to bang these out. Well, that only took an hour and a half. It's Tuesday 11:30. Time to drop the tools. So all the ceiling panels are gone, the nasty styrofoam panels are gone, and I've tidied up, at least preliminary, got rid of most of the loose dirt around here. Obviously there's still plenty left, but just to focus on the ceiling again, particularly on the joists. The next problem is readily apparent, and that is that these timber joists are undersized. So I looked this up in the building rag. So these are C16 grade 6x2. That means 6x2, that's 15 by 4.7 centimeters. And the clear span, so the distance from one wall to the other, is 5.45 meters. And because these are C16 6x2s, and I think they have 60 centers, meaning from the center of one joist to the center of the next is 60 centimeters. 60 centers. That means the maximum clear span that these joists here have is 2.60 meters or thereabouts, and they're spanning more than double. And this is only for dead load, I think. It's just a dead load rating, but that's more than twice the distance that these are meant to span. These joists, they haven't really had to deal with much load. They are sagging under their own weight, simply because they're spanning more than double the distance they're supposed to span. Anytime I walk around up there, the floor is really bouncy. And that's because I'm looking at 60 centers and because I'm looking at joists that are way undersized, so there's a lot of bend and flex in them. So if I don't want to have that, and if I want to use the upstairs in a meaningful way, I have to beef up the joist timbers. And I looked at the timber regulations or guidelines. The only ones that I've found that come anywhere near the actual clear span that I have, which again is 5.45 meters, are 9x3 joists. So those are 22 by 7.5 centimeters. 9x3 joists, C16 grade. Those span, I think they have a maximum span of 4.8 meters or thereabouts. So I could use those and essentially use the upstairs for light storage and occasional foot traffic. I think I might be able to get away with it then, but at the moment, as things are, walking around upstairs feels pretty damn unsafe. Even spreading the load, even if I were to get more 6x2s and then put some more in the middle, etc., it wouldn't change the fact that the joists are undersized, but still sag even under their own weight. So that's not really an option. And with timber prices being what they are at the moment, I think one 9x3 joist at my usual suppliers is currently €100. So let's make a quick count. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So yeah. Do the math. €1,100 for garage joists. I'm really not sure when I pay that.